Hi everyone! So since we've been stuck inside for the last couple of weeks, a lot of kids might be getting bored or kind of stir crazy. So we wanted to come up with a few ideas for activities that you can do at home that are going to continue to promote the development of those fundamental skills that we've been working on in speech and occupational therapy. So we're going to start off in the kitchen. Now, one way that we like to work on hand strength in sessions is by using games that have tongs. Now, you might not have tongs like the ones we have in clinic, but a pair of kitchen tongs works just as well. And if you have ones like mine, you can just go ahead and pop them open, increase that challenge because that's going to need a lot more coordination and hand strength to fully close those. But if you're looking to decrease the challenge, make it a little bit easier, go ahead and close them, and then way less strength is needed. Now, the nice thing with tongs is you can adapt these pretty much however you want. Like, you can use them to build with blocks, you can make different games with, if you have figurines or stuffed animals, any way that you can make it into a game and make it motivating for your kids is great. Other things you can use around the house, things like cotton balls, or if you have beads, something small like that, that's really gonna challenge their hand strength. And then another thing you could do is even just rip up some little pieces of paper, spread them out over the floor of the table wherever you're working, and have your kids pick them up with the tongs. Then maybe you do an art project with the pieces of paper. And, the possibilities here are endless, so feel free to get super creative. If you're looking for a different kind of challenge, or maybe you don't have kitchen tongs, tweezers can also work. I would recommend these for older kids though, because they are a lot smaller, requiring a more precise grasp, and that's going to make it a little bit harder. But if you have small objects around your house, these can be really great for things like beads or even grains of rice. And so you can have your kids transfer them between containers or make it into a game or whatever is motivating for your kids. And then the other thing that I like to do with tongs is I'll include them into relays, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later in this video.
From a speech and language perspective, you can work on many different language concepts while doing this activity. For example, you can work on following directions and your child's understanding of describing words by asking them to pick up the red block or the big car or 2 Cheerios, for example. The descriptor you use will depend on the items that you have and the language skills that you're working on. If you're not sure which descriptors your child understands, this is a good activity to just try several and see which ones they can complete on their own and which ones they need more help with. During later play sessions, you can focus on those descriptors that they had the most difficulty with. If your child seems to understand most of the describing words you're giving, but they aren't expressing them themselves, you can take turns giving directions. This would give your child an example of what they could ask you to do, and then gives them an opportunity to say it themselves. For our second activity idea, we stay in the kitchen, but this time we get a little bit more crafty. You probably all remember the art project we did in elementary school, where everyone got a slice of apple, dipped it in finger paint, and stamped it on the paper to find that the core of the apple creates a star shape. This is a cool interactive way to learn about shapes, and you don't have to stop with the apple. Once you start looking, there are all kinds of fruits and vegetables with different shapes. If you cut a carrot into a coin shape, you have a small circle. If you cut a carrot into a stick, it's more like a rectangle. A celery stalk has this crescent moon shape. Let's see if we can see that. Yeah. And a banana cut lengthwise like this is an even bigger crescent. A strawberry cut lengthwise is a triangle. Every fruit or vegetable will have its own texture as well, and some, like broccoli, are more about texture than they ever are about shape. Once your child is familiar with the shapes that they can create with each piece of food, kids can create a picture with these food stamps. Younger children might need more direction. Some ideas of pictures to create are Mr. Potato Head, which works on creating the body parts with the different food stamps, or a house and yard. All of these examples help children to understand the relationship between parts and the whole.
Like I mentioned earlier, relays are a great way to get kids moving, and there's so many different things you can put into a relay that you're never going to run out of ideas. So feel free to get creative, and if your kids are old enough, have them help come up with ideas. So as we said earlier, you can use tongs in relays and have the kids transfer different objects across the room or over an obstacle, and that's really going to challenge that grip strength while they have to maintain that pressure so that they don't drop the objects. Other things you can do, use puzzles or games, spread the pieces out around the room or even the whole house, maybe hide the pieces and make it more of a scavenger hunt. And then the other thing, you really want to get some movement actions in there. So you can use things like animal walks, whether you find them online or maybe you and your kids come up with them by yourself. You can do different exercises like push-ups and jumping jacks, or just movements like crawling, jumping, one-footed hops. Whatever gets your kid moving, whatever you guys can come up with is great. And then for those really little ones, just having those changes in position can be really beneficial. So if you have to have them stand up to grab a puzzle piece, and then in order to put it in the board, they've got to squat or sit on the floor. And so that's going to give them a lot of that gross motor practice as well as sensory input.
Relays are also a great way to work on understanding and producing location words. To work on the child's understanding, the adult will hide all of the pieces and then give the child location clues, such as, "You're close, look behind that," or "Look under the table, on top of the table." However, if you're working on the child's production of those same words, it is their turn to hide the objects and then direct you to the object. These are just a few ideas to make learning fun and interactive while stuck at home. No matter what you decide to try, hands-on learning through fun activities with you, the parent, is the most rewarding and effective way to promote positive change.